um, have the founders of a very exciting modular ADU company here in California. And you're basically soup to nuts as far as from somebody who has the thought or an idea of adding an ADU to their backyard. All they have to do is make a phone call or send an email, and lickety split, they can basically end up with an ADU not too long later in their backyard. So I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves, and then we'll get into it. So please tell us more about who you are and what we're going to be talking about today.
Sure. Nice to meet you all. We're very excited, and thanks Eddie and Haley for the opportunity to be on your show, and it's a great privilege of ours. My name is Tom Ginsberg. This is Ken Balteriski, my partner. Just a bit of background. Both Ken and I are not construction people, and that's a big, I guess, sort of innovative thing in the construction business, because most people that we deal with nowadays are coming from the construction business, and we feel this is actually an advantage. We are actually more of project managers in our experience. I myself was a senior attorney before starting Adore Homes, and managed M&A deals and fund formation for investors for many years, and manage those projects for clients. Ken,
I mean, I'm personally, I came from the tech. I used to run service organizations, sales organizations, and I feel with all the information and the knowledge that I gain over the years, I can do something different than the tech. So, and I always had passion, to construction. So it's time to, use the knowledge. And that's how we came up with our business.
And it's, construction is one of those areas where there are a million different details that pop out of one little decision.
Right.
And the management and tracking of that part is complicated. Tom, you had mentioned something to me that I found kind of interesting, was how you felt when you got deeper and deeper into the field of construction, not having been in it before, that how broken it was in that process. So
yeah, it's amazing, Eddie. I mean, I totally agree. What we are finding out is that this industry hasn't been disrupted for more than 150 years. You actually build homes today the same way you built them in, previous centuries. And honestly, and I'm not trying to badmouth anyone, the attitude and the service level that the end user gets is sort of comparable to what people were used to get when they, we're purchasing and handling with the professionals back in the days before the world of service and customer first sort of notion came into play, which I think started in the 90s or maybe the beginning of the 2000s, where companies really started to get measured by the level of service. So Ken and I were brought up to the industry. Each one, I'm from the corporate legal world, Ken is from the technology world. We were brought up and educated, so to speak, to that notion of customer first, honesty, delivery, and timing. All those things we find nowadays are a bit broken in the industry we're in, and our mission is by far is to give people a better experience. We really believe that there's more that we can do for clients than any other company, and we go over it. We prepared a nice presentation, cool. But we go over it, and that's and going to your point. I mean, yes, we really feel clients should be first, and rest assured that what they're getting and what they're being promised is delivered. And Ken and I, whenever we give a proposal, and from the first interaction we have with the client, that's what we keep telling people. And I hope that what we are conveying from a professional standpoint, it's much more than making money. It's making people have better life. And the ADU, and we'll talk about it, the ADU is really a generator for that.
And it's also perception in a way. There is some perception about, when you're starting in a big project, that you're starting at some point, and you end up with a longer time, and it costs you more money. And what we're trying to do, especially with the modular home that we are into, because that's like the core business that we have right now, is that, it's going to be more efficient, and it's going to be clear what you're going to get, right? And if all the unknowns will be figured out during the process of the permitting. Once we got the permitting,
it's ready to go.
Yeah, we're ready to go. We know what's going to happen. The beauty of, the unit that we are doing, like any other prefab, is that, you have the unit, you know what you're going to get. You can always upgrade certain things, but it's mostly kind of cosmetic, right? I mean, you're not building something from scratch, which, then there are so many unknowns with the city and unknowns, with the company, the contractor that you're working with. They know what they're going to get. So we like it. We can be more efficient. We can scale. We can provide a good service, and we can be reliable. And that's a key.
I think there's also an environmental aspect to it, because you can be more sparing with materials, because it is more, calculated in the sense of like your, proper there, you're not going to make money in manufacturing if you're wasting raw materials and just, running them to the dump the whole time. So there's overall, it's I think a way more environmentally friendly way to approach the process too.
Yes, absolutely. It's a controlled environment, and we've been to several factories, and it's amazing, the way they work. Everything is engineered. Everything is, laser focused on the plans, the engineering plans. And now we know that because we've been dealing with factories. Engineering plans of a modular home are much, much more detailed than engineering of a regular construction. Typically, the general contractor has its own engineer, has been working with the guy for many years, and they know what they need to do. In a factory setting, every screw, every nail has its address and designation. It's amazing. So going to your point on efficiency, and because that's how they can scale, and they can make sure quality is consistent. They can have one house, a bit off, and the other house, not. It's very consistent, and that's what we want, and that's what we want to bring our clients. So let's say maybe go to the presentation.
Let me. I think, can you share, or do I need to upgrade you? Or are you able to do your screen share without any problems there?
Let me see.
No, you need to make us presenter.
Yes. Let's become a presenter.
Let me just switch this up. There you go. And you now have control. You are the command center, Tom, so work away.
Perfect. All right. So let's do present. Oopsie. All right. Good. So this is another, actually on the background here, you can see another variation of color of our unit. You see it's sort of the same unit. It's actually the bigger unit we have. It's a two-bedroom we have. This is more of a brighter, sort of woody kind of color. And we have more colors, obviously, but just
So how many square feet is this unit?
We will show you in the presentation. We're going to share all the information.
We'll go through everything.
I'm sure you're going to have lots of questions.
Yes.
Okay. We'll get there.
Okay. Right. So I guess the first question we're probably asking ourselves, since we're talking today about ADUs in general and, our company, is just why really do we need to add an ADU? And as I mentioned at the outset of our meeting, we really believe that an ADU, simple concept, can significantly improve somebody's life. And, we just laid out some use cases and reasons to add an ADU. I mean, we don't have to go through all of them. I can just touch on a few. The increase in property and resale value of a home is instant, right? It's not like you're buying a home and then you have to maybe buying a fixer-upper and then you have to remodel it and wait for some kind of appreciation. By adding square footage in a modular fashion, just putting the unit once it's ready in your backyard, immediately, automatically almost, the property value goes up. It's just a fact. And
one of the things that
and we can attest to that. Like we have a listing coming up in Oakland that basically has an ADU in the back. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath house, which is the kind of sweet spot of the market. And in the back there's a 1-bedroom, 1-bath ADU, which they ended up, our clients rented it to family members. And they got both rental income and they got to have people who they really like and love to be around them. And because of this functionality and the ability to rent it and the extra square footage, it has, when we are now going to sell it, it is creating a significant bump in the value. So
yeah. So one of the things that we did with the property increase is that we created a kind of a calculation that we work with the big companies that out there and try to understand, what's going to be the property value increase. Just by putting the zip code and choosing, the different ADUs that we are selling, it will tell you like what's going to be the increase. And we can show you example.
Yeah.
And actually,
show you if you can see my screen.
Actually, I don't think that I can see that screen. Can you see the screen right now?
Just the one where we're the reasons for an ADU.
Which I love, by the way, the bring your parents in, but adult children too.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you a story that will make you cry in a second.
This is like the entire, I think, you can see now, right?
Yeah, now we can see it.
Okay, so for example, if I'm gonna choose...
This is our website, just so you know.
Yeah, right, this is our website. So if you're gonna choose like, a zip code, it's close to my zip code, it will give you kind of the, if you choose the different units, right? If you're gonna choose the small one, it will tell you what is the property increase gonna be at that area. So, if you purchase, the unit for 200, and I'm just throwing a number right now, it's gonna show you that the property is gonna increase in 93, K. It's also gonna show you what's gonna be the monthly rental income for the different units. So if I'm choosing the 1-bedroom, 1-bath, and so forth, right? So it will show you how much it's gonna cost. And any zip code that in the Bay Area, we're focusing right now only in the Bay Area, so you can check like New York or something like that.
Yeah.
But
this is amazing.
To the point is that it's going to help you to understand as a customer like right away. You don't even need us, right? You can use it, whenever you want.
So, out of curiosity, so we actually have a client interested in this who would be they're actually on our call today watching, but they're going to be purchasing in Marin. So just let me pull up a Marin zip code.
Sure. Let's see if he's in the range of what we did,
with our data vendors. Yeah, with the data vendors.
So try 94941.
No, it's not. Unfortunately, it's not.
It's not. No.
Do you have another one?
Yeah. So 94942.
Oh no, probably not, because it's in the same area.
In the same area. Yeah.
Right.
Much information.
Right. If you're gonna choose like 9 4.
Well, we could do like say a San Francisco.
Yeah, like where I am is 94131.
94131.
And
there you go.
Whoa.
I'm trying to get a deal ratified, so I'm actually going to jump out for a second. Excuse me for a minute.
I got this, don't worry. I can see, Ken, where your tech experience snuck in there, getting that calculator.
Yeah.
Love that.
Oh
Yeah,
my
so,
God.
so we did a lot of analysis. I'm a very, detailed analysis guy, same Tom, right? But, I did that. And actually in the next version that we're going to have, we're also going to have like, explanation about the different mortgage option. So, if you have a project that is going to cost you 200K, we're going to tell you, how much you can make, if you are want to rent the place. And
Okay.
how much you're gonna pay for mortgage, if it's gonna be like HELOC, if it's gonna be regular mortgages, things like that. So we're gonna have it in really like in a week or two, I believe. We're gonna have it out there, and people can use it, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be under our, kind of responsibility in a way of our product. But anyway, I mean, that's what we have for that one. Now, obviously, everything that we talk about, going back to the slides, you can see the slides, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, we are talking about rental and how people can leverage the additional income, the passive rental. One of the things that we have right now, and this is, I think, like across US, is the fact that the interests are low right now. It's really low, more than ever.
Yes.
I think it's a shame not using, taking the opportunity and having any type of property. It doesn't necessarily have to be ADU, but for us, I think it's a great opportunity for any customer to do it.
That's for sure.
So that's another key thing. Obviously, everybody knows that we are working from home. I'm working from my office right now. I'm probably going to have my own ADU soon. But, having the COVID right now, it's a great solution for families. You can still increase your property, potentially having a rental in the future, but for the time being, using it for the COVID time.
Yes.
We have lots of use cases. We have a situation that we have a family that they want to bring their kids to live with them. But what they decided to do is to build ADU with us. They're going to move to the ADU, and their kids and grandchildren, they're going to live in the main house. Different use cases about, different situations.
And that goes to my point about us helping change and help people's lives.
Right.
It's more about, construction and selling and, what everybody's doing. We feel that in this, chapter of our lives, we're really managing to change people's lives. Just one example, one of the use cases is, bring your in-laws and parents. I just had a call a week ago. Because of COVID, you can't really see your elder parents, right? You're risking them if you do that. But, all their lives, they were waiting to get grandchildren and spend time with them, and you want them around, and it's a summertime now. And, that woman was speaking to me. We just met, right? She saw our advertising and called up and started tearing because, we had like a nice conversation, and she said, with your unit, I can actually see my parents and spend time with my parents because I feel like I'm losing them. Our father is a bit ill. Our mother is, okay, but getting older. The grandchildren are dying from, missing their grandparents, and it's tough. COVID, really has shaken us, as you experience and know. And, with a simple ADU, you can actually, change the whole picture, and you can do it quickly.
Yeah, the quality of life definitely. I mean, you can see the.
So it got me really excited, about helping that specific lady. We went there, we saw the property. Yeah. Thank God. I was during driving there, I was afraid that it's not going to be feasible for us to help them because sometimes we have power lines that can block us, or we have all kinds of limitations. We're going to touch on this in a second. So I was praying that, we can actually help her, leave aside the deal, just helping her get the parents near her. So, that's what we're all about. So these are, as we can see, we can talk for hours about the reasons and the motivation to add an ADU. We keep saying it's a no-brainer, but, you're going to see soon how really it's a no-brainer, it's at least from a financial standpoint, but we'll get to it in a second. Now, we wanted to touch a bit on the law and regulation. As you probably know, new law has passed, and additional 5 bills has passed since January 2020. The governor made a firm decision to sort of attack the housing crisis in California. the fact that teachers and firefighters and police officers, ordinary people can't really live in most places in California, which is not good for our society and for our country in general. So he's been, very strong advocate for that, and the law passed because he backed it really firmly. We wanted to touch on, when it comes to an ADU, what are the changes, the major changes that people should be aware of. Parking was a major issue before the new law, because every time you came to a city and asked for an ADU permit, they said, oh, you have to take care of parking. You have to create parking spaces. Otherwise, you won't be able to get the permit. So the state really knocked that out. There's no requirement, there's no impact sort of fees about creating parking spaces, which is amazing.
Which is huge. Yeah, because that and in a world with a small unit, like, does a studio or a one bedroom apartment really need parking? Like that's huge.
Yes, and they can park in the street, and they can park with the owner's driveway. There's ways to go around it, but trust me, it was so hard to convince the cities. I mean, they just didn't want to give the permits for an ADU. They want to keep their, small town mentality, which is, not good for the purposes of helping society,
Well, and I also think there's this mentality that everybody has to. We have so many clients now who don't own cars, and they use alternate forms of transportation and stuff. So yeah.
Another big went down to 4 feet from the rear and side property lines. It's a big deal because now there's even more properties that are eligible for an ADU. Before that, they just couldn't get the permit. Approval periods got shortened. The city have 60 days, mandatory 60 days to respond, right? They can deny or they can come back with comments, but they have a total of 60 days according to the law. It's still COVID time, so I don't know how much they're actually being compliant with this legal requirement, but the law states 60 days to receive a response, either an application, either a permit or sort of a comment, which is great because it used to be months and months prior to that.
And technically, the importance of that being the law is the fact that if they are consistently not following this, then they're susceptible to being sued.
Correct. And fined by the state. We actually have a hotline that we can call the HCD, which is the sort of the regulator that controls ADUs. And they told us many times, if a city pushes back, if they're being unreasonable, please call us. We'll give them a call, and they will listen. Thank God we didn't need to. Ken and I are very nice people. We don't want to confront anyone, but I guess the cities know that they're being watched, because this is something the governor wants to do. So that's the thing. So owner occupancy, it's another big deal, is no longer required. So if you are an investor, and Eddie, I know you have a lot of investors as your clients, you don't have to live in the house to be eligible to get an ADU. So you can get on the same property, the main residence you're now renting, and another unit in the backyard, which is amazing. It's just, it's like getting a bonus in the middle of the investment period, right? It's like winning the lottery.
Except you're like the government taking a share of it because we got to pay you to put the ADU back there. It's like tax.
They're always going to take some.
Yes.
Even with the lottery, they're still taking some.
Exactly. Yes.
If you win the lottery in Ireland, it's tax free. So,
really?
Yeah. But anyway,
but we still need to pay the federal. But anyway.
Yeah, we digress. So continue.
And then another major thing that changed is the minimum required rental period. What they did is we think, very smart. They don't want people to start renting, you know, on a daily basis. So streets can become like hotel streets or motel streets, which I think is reasonable because you still want to keep it as a neighborhood. There are kids there. You don't want all kinds of people coming and going every day. So what they did is essentially allow for a minimum of 30 days. And, you know, we see a lot of demand from traveling nurses, especially now with COVID. Hospitals, you know, need reinforcement of workforce. So nurses are, you know, big players in this, and they're coming to become tenants in those units. And that's a good thing for California and for our neighborhoods. Again, I think you saw on the tech side, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, on the tech side, is already, obviously, we've seen lots of major big corporate companies that bring their people, you know, to the Bay Area. And you know, there are opportunities to rent the place for a longer period of time, but people are going to come and being replaced, you know, by the different employees. So, you know, there are opportunities, you know, with corporate as well.
Yeah. But we actually have a client who, with an ADU, rents to nurses and works that angle of nurses who are traveling and on assignment and stuff.
Okay.
Perfect. A bit about us. We touched about why we started the company. Let's talk a bit about Adore Homes and our offering. You saw modern design. It was very important to us to engage and partner with an architect that really is doing beautiful things, right? There's so many ugly boxes out there, and we wanted to be different in that sense. We wanted to bring regular people an amazing design, a design you see if you drive around Palo Alto, Los Altos Hills. This is the style, the modern style you see. This is what we believe will increase the property value, as we discussed. This is what will attract those techies we want as tenants, right? We want the Googlers and the Cisco workers and all those great guys. They want something nice and neat. So we engage with an amazing architect. Their name is Become Design. They're featured on our website, and they only do, you know, multi-million
really
dollar.
big. They're quite
Yes.
well known for very big development.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, you know, at the beginning they said, oh, ADU, we really do like mansions, right? Why do you? And we convinced them on our vision, and we were lucky enough to be partnering with them, and they came up with this design for an ADU. Specifically, our architect is an expert on space usage, because these are smaller structure, right? So we want to make sure that the space is really used, and we want people
and efficient.
And efficient, exactly. And so that's, you know, she has done. Obviously, we spent tons of hours with her, but she has done an amazing work on every inch of our unit is really utilized. There's no like stupid, non-usable space in the space. Ken, you want to talk about a bit the materials?
Yeah, so one of the things that we did with the material is that we got into the detail of each and every features that we have, the outside, the inside, the countertop, the lights. We brought, you know, very, you know, nice look and feel, you know, even recessed lights. The material is very high quality. But what is important with everything that we are explaining about, you know, maximizing the place, the material itself, is that it's affordable with the same price with all our competitive. I'm not saying that we are cheaper. I'm not saying that we are more expensive. We are affordable at the same price, but the quality, it's very, very good. And we have like a list of all the specification that we will be happy to share with our different customers. But we got into the details. Just to give you a sense, I mean, it took us 2.5 months to design those units. That's how long it took us to work, you know, with the architecture, with the factories, and get to the point that we have a good, solid, you know, a high quality design. For what you've seen right now, what you're gonna see. We're gonna talk about other units, you know, in the next few slides. But that's one of the things that was very important to us. we can always do some customization, right? I mean, everybody's saying that, you know, a prefab home are not customized. I'm not saying that I'm going to move the entire wall, but I can make different type of windows. We had customer that potentially wants to have like a pool house, so like a big window, you know,
With those foldable windows.
right? Foldable windows. So
Beautiful.
you know, I mean, the house as it is, it's coming like with, you know, entries doors. So we can do something along those lines. We can make some modification, and we are definitely open to that. We had another customer that said that his house is a little bit too long for him. So we talk with the factory, you know, basically, you know, shrink it a little bit. Yeah, only 4 feet, but he needed those 4 feet. So to say that, you know, that we are sticking to the, you know, the plans that we have in the engineering, we are not. We're definitely open to that. So, you know, there are some customization that we can do. Some of them easy, quick and easy. Some of them more complicated, but we are definitely open to that.
Well, and the beauty of the prefab kind of model in all of this is all of this design, all of this experience that you have, you can in 5 minutes bring that into the process if it's needed for somebody, because like, hey, it's already designed. We just did this for somebody else, so we know what we have to do. So if that's an option that you need, we can do that. And we're not, okay, wait for the architect to go off and figure it out and then talk to the engineer and then get that figured out and then go through the city to get the permits and figure that out. That's there's so many areas where you can save time, but that's one area where there's a huge chunk of time just totally disappears from a regular construction project.
And the way that we, you know, when we have our process, and you're going to see it again in like 2 slides more further, what we are asking, it's one single day to do the design. 1 day, and we can knock everything down. We can get you, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like choosing the one that you want to upgrade or the different colors. We did all the heavy lifting, as you mentioned. 1 day, and you're there. You got it.
Wow.
From a design standpoint. The rest of it, we're going to show you in a second.
Yes. Another thing worth mentioning is, you know, the speed in which we deliver the unit and the safety hazards that are being removed. If you have kids and you don't want your backyard to become a construction site, I think you should definitely take the route of working with a prefab company, someone like us, which safety, you know, for safety comes first, obviously. And those complaining neighbors, you know, a lot of our clients are people that would never go with a general contractor or, you know, traditional construction project just because of their neighbors. They would, you know, they have good references. They have a few GCs that they can call up and have them build their unit, but they just don't want to deal with the neighbors. And because we're doing everything offsite, you know, they manage to keep the neighborhood nice and clean and quiet and avoid that, you know, angry, grumpy.
Yeah. Well, you know, one of the number one reasons that the neighbors complain about construction crews next door is because they're there for months and months and months. They're all driving different trucks. They take up all the parking. They're smoking and flicking their butts across the fence and little things like that, and are playing music, which, you know, it's a regular kind of a workspace for people, but that's really, it's those little things, and having that ongoing day after day for months is eventually, you know, some neighbors crack before others, but it comes up. Yeah.
Yes.
And you'll probably tell us, but in general, after the site work is done for the foundation, how long is the installation of your unit in the backyard? Is that
I'm just going to jump a second for the next 2 slides just to answer your question. So here is kind of, I mean, I know that we are comparing over here to traditional, but let's stick to the left side, because that's, you know, kind of our side. You know, doing the site assessment, getting, you know, the permitting and everything take between 4 to 8 weeks, right? Okay. So it depends. I mean, it depends mostly on the city approval. That's out of our kind of responsibility in a sense that, you know, we don't own, you know, the timeline, but the relationships come in handy over here. So in San Jose, we can do it faster. We all know that San Jose is very open, you know, to ADU. Not that the rest of them are not. I'm just saying that it's a little bit slower, but we can do it. So 4 to 8 weeks is the typical time to get the permits. From our side, it's two things, right? I mean, we all know that prefab doing the foundation and building the units at the same time, right? Foundation take 2 to 3 weeks, with inspection max 4 weeks. That's kind of the worst case. Manufacturing the home, it's take between 4 to 6 weeks. I admit that, you know, COVID time might take a little bit longer for some of the factories that we are working with, but 4 to 6 weeks, that it's still the commitment that we got from the factories. So all in all,
but that's also something that the homeowner doesn't have to deal with, because that's happening in a factory in another location.
The noise and the mess is going to be for 3 weeks max, you know, on their side, and then we are waiting for the unit to arrive. So
and you couldn't nearly be building the foundation and doing the site work while the unit's getting constructed. So simultaneously, there's an efficiency that can be there for time constraint.
Exactly, and all inspections, that's another big point with when you do modular construction. All the inspections are done at the factory. So, you know, there's all kinds of inspection the building must go through, plumbing, electricity, all of that is done over there while the factory is building it. So there's no unnecessary delays, you know, there's no rainy days that sometimes you cannot do work at. So all of that, as you mentioned, it's, you know, the time save and also the unknowns that are removed are enormous. It's just life-changing in terms of stress that our customers are facing when they're thinking about a construction project. And hey, you know, people want to use their backyard. We're always home. It's COVID times. We don't want the backyard to become, you know, a fenced, no, do not enter kind of place. So I guess now it's even a better time to go with modular than ever. I think we want to say something about modules, right?
Yeah, so yes, let's talk about our models and what we're going to have in the near future. So right now we have 4 types of models, as you can see. We have the studio one, which is the 378 square feet. And we have the 1 bedroom, 1 bath. It's the 490 square feet. It's a kind of extension. I mean, think about it like, you know, you're taking a studio, you extend a little bit on the right. Then you're taking the 2 bedroom and you extend it a little bit more to the left. The look and feel is going to be very similar to, you know, to the studio, but as you expanded it, as you've seen, you know, the 2 bedroom, 2 bath background that we have over here, it's look nicer. It's look really good, very similar one to the other. Same material for all of them across the board, right? And what we're trying to do, you know, with all those units and what we are doing is that we are including the site assessment that we are doing, the consultation, you know, we have the engineering already ready for all of them. Obviously, as we said before, we are taking care of the permitting, the site preparation, all the factors of having the house beginning through the end, it's on us. We are doing the project management for everything. So the customer don't need to do, I mean, zero, literally there is zero burden on their side. So we're taking care of that one. Now just a little bit explain about the models. You see what we have right now, but what we do have, and you're going to see in the next few slides, and we're going to talk about it with the different factories, is that we have a good relationship with lots of them. And our portfolio is going to increase from the 4 that you see to additional units. Some of them we design, some of them are, you know, the factory provide us. So we're going to have a list of at least 30 new units in the near future.
Choose from, yes.
Literally, I'm talking about great amount of numbers. And all of them from the range of 400 square feet up to 1,200 square feet. Wow. So our portfolio is going to increase dramatically. Some of them is going to have some of the same material that you see over here, and some of them are going to look a little bit different from the look and feel. But I promise you, all of them are in a very top quality, literally all of them.
Where are the factories that you use?
We're going to get there.
We're going to get there. Hold on.
We're not missing anything. We're not missing anything.
Yes.
What we want to show you right now, it's a quick kind of a movie. I mean, we thought about either talk about it or show you a movie that we created.
Yes.
We're going to show you a movie.
Yes.
Only a minute.
Better.
It's not a long one, but it's explained about the process and you can ask us any question. Okay?
Okay, perfect.
Cool.
Make sure you have, is there any sound? Yeah, I think the efficiencies on step 2 are great. 5 to 15 days to obtain a permit. Once approved, we can begin, the manufacturer can start. And then it goes, Thank you. Nobody's ever told me I'm adorable.
That's why we are here. So this is kind of the process. And again, I'm not saying that we are different than any, prefab company. They're doing, the process. They're all doing the same thing. We are very efficient. We have a good relationship with lots of, cities, with Hayward, with San Jose. So we're taking the advantage of that. And the intent is that whatever the time frame that we give you as, so-called the worst case, we can do it faster. So one of the customers that we are working right now, probably in a matter of actually it's going to be 9 weeks, we can get in the unit, completed. 9 weeks total.
Wow.
Wow.
9 weeks. Okay, so that's another one of the factories that we are working with, and we're going to get there.
One more note to make that we have taken upon ourselves to help people that are interested in this locate qualified tenants. Again, from taking the burden from people, we have a few more of the older side customers that they don't really know how to. They're asking us, okay, we want to rent this and we want to get this to help our pension and stick around the neighborhood, but how can we find good tenants? And we're gonna help them find tenants. This is a service we're providing with at no cost to anyone who's interested, because we can find qualified tenants, those tech guys that everybody wants, and just turn over the keys again to the tenants and handle the contracting with them and qualifying them. So that's another point that is important. So Haley, to your question on factories, yes. I think this is a very unique feature that Adore Homes have. We are actually engaged with 13 factories. Unlike many other companies, which has probably 1, maybe 2 factories, we said, since we cannot, the advantage of working with modular is essentially timing and expedited delivery. So we cannot rely on one factory, especially now with COVID. It's hard to get employees to come to work. It's hard to build stuff. When you get shutdowns, if somebody is sick in the factory, they get shut down. We hear that, we list. So we made an effort to engage quickly with 13 factories that are building our units. And the units that Ken mentioned, that this is why we are able to provide such a selection, and so nobody will be turned away just because is missing a 1 foot or it doesn't like the siding or something like that. We're really going to have a huge portfolio. So that goes to your question.
And actually it's a good. I can give you even a good example on that one. We had a customer that needed a unit that's going to be the size of 20 by 40, right? I mean, in a normal situation, you're going to have 1 example. We just send him 3 examples from 3 different factories that can produce it in a short time frame. Okay, so it definitely helps us to be more competitive. And more than that, I mean, it's give variety of option to our customer. They don't need to stick to just a single size and price. I mean, their price, give or take, it's the same thing. Price is not the issue. It's the look and feel. It's the material, right? So we're helping with that option, giving more than 1. Sometimes it's make life, a little bit challenging for people to choose, but we're helping them out, with that.
Yeah.
May I ask a question about sourcing the site? So, Eddie was mentioning that we have some clients that are looking for a property right now, and they're hoping to put an ADU on that property. And so obviously we want to look for things that have, a moderately flat lot, large enough to put it there. But obviously, like, we're in the Bay Area, and, the city, Oakland, Marin, we've got a lot of hills and windy streets that, trucks it can be hard to get up to. So do you, in terms of your site assessment, if you have customers that are actually in the, like, shopping for the primary home phase, are you able to kind of weigh in on if, they were to be like, hey, we're thinking about, offering on this property, do you think you could fit an ADU on this? Are you able to help out in that regard? And then additionally, like, if it's not perfectly flat, do you have, how do you handle that?
So you're talking about situation that there is a slope, right?
Pretty much.
Okay. So we actually have a customer in Los Altos Hills that in that particular situation right now. And what we did, obviously, it's not straightforward, right? Because in his case, he has a huge slope, like, at the bottom and way up at the hill. And he didn't decide where you want to put it. Either way, you need retaining walls, right? No matter what, you need the retaining walls. So what we did is that we actually engaged with a civil engineer. And what was the other guy that we engaged? There was another person. I forgot.
It's a civil engineer, and you actually need
you probably need a soils engineer. Did you need a soils
structure engineer, right?
Well, soil engineering we didn't need in this case because we already had a guy that just built the main house. So we didn't need that one. But anyway, to the point is that we did engage with civil engineer, and we are working with him right now to determine how much. We know we can do it, right? It's only a matter of cost.
Sure.
You don't want to have it too expensive. So I told you that the customer want two options, lower and upper. The upper one is going to increase the price dramatically. So
because the scope of the retaining walls.
Right.
So what we are able to provide clients, and again, we do it free of charge. We don't charge for assessments and for the advice. Just by telling the client, you know what, maybe if you can put it a bit of an angle and a bit of a bit lower, exactly as Ken mentioned, that guy saved, I think, probably 30K.
I think that, along those lines. I mean, the civil engineer didn't give us the final price yet, but it's going to save great amount of money. End of the day, we're trying to help them to figure out what is the most realistic one, what makes sense to them, because some of the customer price is not a problem, right? They want to do the right thing, but we are working with the civil engineers. So we have two companies that we are working with them. Again, the guy that we are working right now is doing a great job. We're getting close, figure out the numbers and the locations where it's gonna be, and it's part of the service. So
it's part of the service.
I'm hoping it answered the question.
Absolutely. I mean, basically, I'm asking about feasibility and, like, how how involved. Because you seem to, you put renters in the unit, so I figured as much.
Right. So I admit that most situation it's flat, it's easy, straightforward. Some of them, it's a little bit more tricky, just a little bit. We are working with, we have great amount of GCs that we are working with them. Depends on the different location, because we are all over the Bay. And we have a guy like in the East Bay, we are in the South Bay. So we have a guy in the East Bay, we are working with him over there. He's helping us, to do assessment for a property that it's really close to the edge of the property over there. So we're asking him, if he has a doubt, we go into the civil engineer. If you don't have a doubt, we leverage in his experience. He's been there for 30 years.
Yes.
So we are using our different GCs to determine, about the assessment. If the house property is really, straightforward, we don't need, a GC to do it. We already know what needs to be done, how much it will cost, what is the right thing for the customer, where to connect. So we are doing that assessment by ourselves. That's knowledge-wise. But yeah, we are working with them.
Perfect.
Financial institutions. We're going to touch on the finances in a second, but just, we wanted to not only be sort of a ADU provider, because we are offering, 360 degree of service. Financial institutions we engage with are top-notch, the US Bank, Patelcor, and we have two amazing mortgage brokers that actually shop for our clients. So we make an introduction. We are not part of the, we're obviously facilitating this, but we're not part of this. It's not something we make money out of, but we're making sure that our clients are taken care of by getting the best rates nowadays and getting the best products. So, that's another service that we provide as part of,
And is this relationships that you've developed with Patelco and US Bank for financing the installation of the ADU, or in what?
For the entire project.
So,
yes. We don't.
How do they structure those loans? What's the thought process? Is it done as a, based off the equity in the existing home, or is it done as a cash out refi, or how do they do it?
So the majority of the situations so far, it is the equity of the existing house.
Yeah, people build so much equity, it's most of the right path. But HELOC is another option, equity line, and I'm going to show an example in a second of a client that did that. But yes, equity is typically refinance is typically the right path for most people. And we talked about the GCs. Again, we don't want to spread ourselves thin. We right at the outset when we started, we said we need a network of GCs. We're not going to be dependent on, because these guys get busy. They're very busy doing their work, their projects. I'm sure guys. So we have to have a network of them, and we managed to convince them that the volume we have and the level of clients we have is worth their while. And luckily, we engage with a few of them in each region. East Bay, South Bay. We have a few in each region, each one of them, and it's something that is important. Maybe because Ken and I are coming from the world, the where experience is the big thing. Senior with sort of older GCs that has been around, the gray hair really, it's amazing. When you go with a GC, you come to a client with a GC that has the gray hair and the experience. They've seen it all. He looks at this and say, "Oh, you see this thing? We need to, make sure this and that needs to be fixed. So this and that needs to be taken into account." And it's amazing. And we really feel that this is the value, those guys are getting. And, even if they cost a bit more, we're fine with this because we want the experience. We don't want to be surprised.
Cool. So can get into, what about some of the financials? Like, let's look at a floor plan of, say, your most popular model, and let's just talk a little bit about, typical costs, so we can kind of get everybody an idea.
Sure.
Okay. So let's focus on the 1 bedroom, 1 bath, because this is like the most popular that we have right now. The second one is the 2 bedroom, 1 bath, which is also popular, but I think that, the 1 bedroom, 1 bath
is popular, yeah.
It's the most popular. So the price, the way that we structure the price right now is that it's $129 for the unit. That's the price. That's the unit that's coming with everything inside.
And that's with the bathrooms fully tiled and complete.
Floor,
kitchen has a stove and a dishwasher and a refrigerator.
Yeah, everything, and we will be happy to share with all our customers the specifications, because we have a very good specification about the details. As I said, like the screwdriver, the nails. So we literally have a detail of everything. So that's the unit. Now, obviously, every property has its own unique, parcel. And what we're doing is that we're doing the assessment, like, what Haley just mentioned about if there is a slot. Obviously, it's going to be more expensive, right? If it is expensive, then we need to figure out how much it's going to cost in addition to, the basic. So we do an assessment for the foundation, which is including, of course, the trenching for the water, sewer, and electricity. We are not using gas in our unit. And of course the crane, right? I mean, we had one customer that the crane cost us $6K and another one that cost $28K, like 155 feet. all the way to the back. Very expensive, very high. It's not just far, it's also high. So, so it's change, right, between the customer. So for us, it's very challenging to give a fixed price, but we are going towards that direction. But, you know, that's how we make a decision about, you know, the pricing of the unit.
Once we determine the price, and that's another thing that I think we're bringing to the table, and we heard so many horror stories about price changing throughout the project. Very typical thing for construction guys to change it just because, you know, prices go up, materials cost more, all kinds of excuses. Once we determine the price, and that's why we take the time and do the due diligence, and we do a very thorough due diligence before we come forward with the proposal. Once we give the price, there's not going to be any change to the price, even if we have to lose money. That's our cornerstone of our company. This is why we're here. Again, I mentioned at the beginning, you know, honesty and straightforward pricing. It's not bait and switch or something like that. It's a very, very accurate pricing. So that's why, you know, Ken and the civil engineer, and, you know, we involve anyone that needs to be involved. And sometimes, you know, we even take it upon ourselves just to make sure we don't get it wrong. Also for the client.
Cool. So typical foundation prep, we'll say we got a practically flat lot, where you know, we've got good access, where you're craning in, you know, over an existing structure that maybe is 40 to 60 feet in depth. So you're probably going in off the street, going back 75 feet or something, 60 to 70 feet. Is there tax on the unit for 129,000? There is no, like, that's the cost of that ADU.
I think,
and then there's going to be the foundation and the install cost, right?
so I think I know where you're going with that. So to answer the question about what is the total for a project, right?
Yes.
Let's put aside the unknown. Let's say that it's all known, all, you know, basic houses like the majority in the Bay.
Yeah, flat parcel.
The price of the unit, it's $199, including everything inside. Okay. I think that's where you're going with the question.
So basically, all in, the 1-bedroom unit installed average cost, depending, without, and, you know, variables, but the average is about 200K to get the 1-bedroom unit installed.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's the entire project. We're managing everything beginning through the end. No hassle, no mess for the customer. So that's our price for that one.
It's a beautiful unit too. Do you have a few pictures there that you can kind of just pop through there when you're showing
So you see the models that we have right now over here on our website. And again, as I mentioned, soon they're going to be lots more.
Wow.
So this is example of, you know, one of the locations that we are working for our customer to put it in, right? And
it's a bedroom.
That's a bedroom. That's the bathroom that we have. That's the living room. And as you can see, our, you know, marketing. So you see like the lights over here, very unique, very beautiful, you know, just to do that. And so, you know, that's kind of the living area and the kitchen.
And it's the high ceiling. How high are the ceilings? It seems quite
9 feet.
How many feet?
9.
9
from
feet.
The, from the floor to the ceiling, 9 feet. Yeah. So I mean, obviously, you know, from a foundation standpoint, we're doing a concrete and then steam wall, you know, crawling space. Either one of them, our preferences is do crawling space so people can move around if things not working like they used to, you know, thing breaks. So that's our preferences. But as you can see, we get into the details. You know, again, there is no gas, right? So it's tankless, you know,
water heater.
Yeah, that's the, you know, the bedroom.
That window.
The Murphy bed. If you want
the
an
Murphy
office,
bed, that's an option that you have, right?
Yes,
it's an option. Absolutely.
And here's the office.
Yeah. Right. And that's like different colors that we have. I mean, you know what we find out that the majority of the customer actually like that color.
Yeah.
So
I think Haley likes the wood, the brown one, right?
I do.
Yeah.
I'm partial to that.
So yeah, that's the unit. And again, I mean, you know, when you're looking at the studio, it's without that portion, right?
Yeah.
We shift it
Yeah.
a little bit to the left.
Yeah.
You already seen, you know, the other unit, you know, the big one. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
And
and I
then that
noticed
one
that,
bedroom. Go ahead, Haley. Sorry.
no, I just was admiring the landscaping around that you have rendered. Do you also bring someone in to, like, you know, straighten that up and put those beautiful stepping stones you have?
Of course, we won't leave the customer with a, you know, bunch of junk. And yeah, landscaping, obviously, you know, it's dependent on each client's taste, but it's part of the service. It's an extra, right? Because, you know, landscaping, there's all kinds of landscaping you can do, but the client won't have to rush and find a landscape artist to finish the work. We
work with everything, not just the landscaping. I mean, think also about electricity, for example. Some of them need to upgrade the, you know, the panels. Some of them want to have a separate meter. So we help to provide any type of service if it's needed, right? And we're not trying to do any kind of markup. It's all about the service, all about the service.
Yes.
Cool. Love it.
I love it. Wow.
Can you put them on, can you do septic? Sorry, these are really detailed based on what I'm looking for.
It depends. I mean, we have to, typically with these cases of, you know, if you're sitting on a septic line, the city will opine. It's typically a matter of positioning the unit, right? Where they might say, you know what, you know, maybe push it a bit to the left or a bit to the right. I mean, if you have the right sized lot, we can go about or go around the septic easement that is probably there. But yeah, the city, in this case, we need to, you know, get the city's input. It's not a straightforward answer.
Never.
We wanted to just run one last thing, just to bring it home, to show
Landing.
you,
Just landing, because I'm not convinced. I'm thinking,
if
I'm
one
not
is not
convinced.
I know, thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm still wondering if I should do this. You know,
Yes.
I think the easiest line that we kind of tell people is when you look at, like, even now where condo prices are say a little deflated in the COVID market. In San Francisco, for a one-bedroom condo, if you wanted to buy an investment property to rent it out, you're probably going to spend 650, 700, 800K, depending on location and size. But, you know, in a lot of ways, adding this in your backyard, if you have the ability, is a third, if not less, a quarter of the cost. And you get the same investment. And that's, yeah, and so, which basically means the return on your dollar is way greater in this regard. So, yeah.
Yes, and exactly. And Eddie, this is exactly, it's a great segue to what we wanted to emphasize. This portion of our presentation is something we did to a customer of ours that was, you know, we just asked, can you guys help me understand? Because some people are not so savvy, you know, mortgages and refinance, you know, this guy was an engineer. And you know, we came up with his, so obviously we're not reveal any names, but I can show you exactly how we explained how this is a no-brainer investment. And we think people should look at it, adding an ADU as an investment rather than an expense. Right? It's not a remodel. When you do a remodel, you know, some people will say it's, you know, it's also an investment because the house is going to look prettier. But when it comes to an ADU addition, this is really an investment, and it's a no-brainer investment. And we can show you how and why we say that. So for this guy, that family, they're in San Jose, and if they were interested in the one bedroom, and you know, we typed in their zip code as we showed you earlier, and it just showed, you know, based on our data vendors and, you know, the sites we're using to collect the data, that price will be increased by 332K, right? As you know, Ken mentioned the pricing previously. That's already, you're already in the profit, and just by adding the square footage. And then for rental, the calculator showed 2,000 per month, which is 24K of additional income per year. Managing a backyard home investment is easier than managing a property, or if you want to buy somewhere, people like buying in Kansas City nowadays or Arizona, managing the backyard. It's just over there. You see that what's going on. You can take care of things yourself if you need to. So that's an advantage. Now, let's see the effect of financing on the project, right? So let's start with the HELOC, because HELOC is where you just essentially use your line of credit from the mortgage. So as we said, the project is about 200K all in. So you borrow 200K, the interest rate is 3.5. So your annual loan payment is 7K, and loan payment, monthly loan payment is 583. So the ADU is making money every month, right? Because they're gonna rent it for 2,000 approximately. They're gonna pay the bank 583. So they're left with, 1,417 dollars in their pockets every month, and that's money.
That's amazing. But even if you're doing it for the scenario where it's family that you have there that's coming back, or you want to rent it for periods of time that 6 months, and then maybe leave it vacant for a while, it works for itself. But I do think, and I think you've alluded to this, that there is a customer base that you have where you get like an older couple who've lived in a neighborhood for 30, 40, 50 years, and they love their neighborhood, but the house is way too big, and they want to stay in the neighborhood and stuff, but what options do they have? Because there's a lot of,
they can rent with the big and move to the
move to the ADU.
Then money, right? They'll make even more money because their house obviously is bigger than a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom. Absolutely. And we have one client that is exactly in that use case. Older couple wants to stick around. The husband wanted to move to Florida, but the wife wants to stay here. Because they went with us, they can stay in the neighborhood. I know, who wants to move to Florida? It's
we have
humid.
we've some clients who've moved to Florida. So
it's you.
I think it's
humid.
from Florida.
Okay. So I don't. I don't know. The crocodiles there are,
They're alligators.
The alligator, I know. A bit of a turn off for me and Ken. Ken is
but the heat. We have a client right now who moved there. They've been looking to come back to the Bay Area because it's just too hot in the summer. They want to be there in the winters when it's cold here, and here where we have the moderate summer when it's just too hot there. So, but hey, I'm going to have to say, I think this has been amazing. And if we were looking, what are the easiest ways for people to find you? We want to look. We want to talk to you guys. How do they find you?
So obviously we have our website, adore-homes.com. You can always email us to info@adore-homes.com. That's coming to everyone. We're all getting the same email, and we have the phone number, right? I mean, the 650-395-9882. So those are the numbers. Everything is on our website. It's easy to reach us. We have the chat. We're always connecting to the chat, us and the team. So, we are available 24/7, literally, I think.
I love it. It's like we're right into the source. We'll probably try to do this same interview as a follow-up in like a year, 18 months. And we'll have to try to get through a bunch of personal assistants just so we can talk to you for 5 minutes.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. I
Just look at the calendar now.
Yeah. We're signing up for that now, for sure.
Yeah, let's just book it now.
Yes.
This is awesome. Haley, how do people find us if they're looking for us, if they want to ask any questions in regard to this? We're always happy to talk about it. We're a big proponent. We think if the opportunity exists for people to do this, they should really strongly consider it. So you know, we're always happy to talk about it.
Absolutely. You can find us at elevationrealestate.com or on Instagram at elevationsf or on Facebook. You can find us where you're watching this right now. So you're already there.
Awesome. All right.
Great.
Thank you guys so much.
Guys, thank you so
Guys,
much.
this has
Thank
been
you.
amazing.
Stay safe. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you, Haley.
Looking
Thank
forward
you.
to see this in
Thank you.
action. Love it.
Thank you.
Bye.